Captain America is a feature-length television movie from Universal Studios that debuted on the CBS network in the year 1979. The film stars Reb Brown as Steve Rogers. Unlike the origin from the Marvel comic, Rogers is not a man out of time, but instead a former Marine who is now traveling the Pacific Coast Highway. Rogers makes a stop on his trip down the coast to meet up with his pal Jerry, who I've taken to calling Surfer Bucky. After checking his mail, Steve finally takes note of an urgent but somewhat cryptic message from his longtime friend, Jeff Hayden.
I just want to kick back and find out who I am. Besides, a friend of mine has some heavy problems right now and needs my help.
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? What?
Since Surfer Bucky has been holding Rogers' mail while he's been away, Rogers repays him with a portrait of one of the locations he's visited along the coast. Steve Rogers has often been depicted as finding his joy in artistic endeavors when not operating as Captain America, and has even been shown to have a successful career as both a commercial artist and a Marvel comic book artist. In the pages of Captain America, issue 237, the same year the television movie came out, Steve Rogers begins his career as a commercial artist. He would continue that occupation well into the famous Roger Stern and John Byrne run on the Captain America title. By the year 1985, in the early beginnings of Mark Gruenwald's 10-year run of the title, he had Steve Rogers get the idea to submit samples of his pencils to Marvel Comics in issue number 310. By the following issue, Rogers' interview with editor Mike Carlin goes so well that he is hired on to pencil his own Captain America adventures.
Not bad. You've got talent.
It's what I had in mind for maybe the rest of my life. Till I met you.
Rogers eventually arrives at Hayden's home, only to find him near death, hidden behind a desk in his study. Lou Brackett, CEO of the Andreas Oil Company and the master villain of the piece, sent one of his goons to rough up Hayden in order to get secret plans for the development of a neutron bomb. We don't know this at the time, but Hayden took photos of the plans in order to protect his wife Catherine, who Brackett was holding hostage. Lou Brackett and his Andreas Oil Company tend to remind me of the Roxxon Oil Company in the Marvel Universe. The Roxxon Oil Company first appears inside the pages of Captain America issue 180 by the year 1974, and like Brackett in this film, they tend to be without moral scruples or even have any regard for human life. Hayden is murdered, and now Brackett intends to focus all his resources on Rogers and Hayden's clueless daughter, Tina.
And then arrange an accident that works.
Although early depictions of Captain America's origins normally start with a scrawny Steve Rogers being selected to participate in the super soldier program Operation Rebirth, there have been stories that reference Rogers' secret love of art. There was actually a story in Captain America issue 225 by the year 1978, which was written by Steve Gerber, that made an attempt to alter the origins of his Depression-era past and suggest that a young Stephen Rogers attended art school. Even though the memories later proved to be false implants in case Captain America was ever captured by the enemy, the artistic aspect of Steve Rogers continues to be a part of his character makeup, whether it's him painting murals for the Works Progress Administration project, doing works as a professional graphic artist, or simply drawing for his own personal enjoyment. Steve Rogers is an artist through and through.
You gotta be kidding, this is my drawing.
Why not? It's perfect.
As for the television Captain America costume, it's more reminiscent of Daredevil stunt driver Evel Knievel or one of Captain America's many imitators, such as the Fighting American. Oddly, Steve Rogers is presented as something of a legacy hero in the television film. Apparently, Rogers removed himself from the structure and strict regimen of the Marine Corps to fulfill his passions of being a motorcycle racer, motocross expert, and portrait artist. His long-dead father was not only a secret government scientist, but the original patriotic hero, Captain America.
He shook so many of them out of the trees that they coined a nickname for him. Captain America.
Captain America?
They meant it as a mockery, of course, but in a way, it fit.
I realize Hollywood has always struggled with being able to take the comic book medium as anything but serious, but the over-explanatory dialogue that tries way too hard smacks of disrespect. If the character the film positioned as Roger's mentor can't take the codename seriously, then why the hell should the audience?
You mean he was a super crime fighter?
In one sense, I suppose you could call him that. Yes.
And now you want me to take his place?
No one else can.
Overall, I tend to think of Dr. Simon Mills, portrayed by Len Berman, as taking elements of both Dr. Abraham Erskine and Nicholas J. Fury. Along with Steve's deceased doctor, crime-fighting father, he seems to be the remaining creative force behind the television movie's version of the super soldier serum, which they call Flag.
Your father developed and perfected the ultimate steroid. He synthesized it from his own adrenal gland, and then, through long research, developed a super hormone. He called it FLAG. That's right, F-L-A-G. Full latent ability gain.
I'm not sure I'm following you.
After multiple attempts are made on Roger's life, from spy hunter video game oil slick shenanigans and straight-up late-night car chases, Mills is forced to use the Flag serum to save his life after the car chase culminates in Roger's motorbike being run off the road and exploding. After this, Steve finally puts two and two together that people have been trying to kill him.
I thought it was an accident. Now I realize it wasn't.
I wish you'd told me about that earlier.
Why? What's going on, Simon?
I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. I'm Mr. Dummy. I'm dummy, but I'm so stupid.
Conversely, Mills is also a high-ranking government agent that answers to the President of the United States and supplies Steve with all his tech and gear, such as his Captain America motorcycle and retrofitted van. They also appeared to be positioning the character as one of those Professor X-type father figures who could have ended up participating in some kind of unrequited love triangle with their mutual lady friend, Dr. Wendy Day.
She really is something, isn't she?
She sure is.
The very first time Captain America would drive a motorcycle would be way back in Captain America Comics issue number 10 from the year 1942 in an adventure Bucky would dub Satan in Satin. He also made use of a motorcycle as early as the 1944 film serial, while Cap would go on to ride your standard BMW World War II era motorcycle that he would take from various enemy agents. The origin of a custom-made Harley-Davidson Captain America motorcycle with the red, white, and blue color scheme is introduced inside the pages of Captain America issue 259 by the year 1981. Basically, Cap does a solid for a father by the name of Ray Coulson.
Tahiti. It's a magical place.
Coulson, not to be confused with you-know-who, was a soldier that Cap knew from World War II, and he helps Ray reconcile with his son John. As a thank you, they bequeath Cap his very own personalized Cap cycle. As a kid, I was a pretty big fan of the Secret Wars Captain America Turbo Cycle myself. The Yamaha TT500 motorcycle from the television movie, while not exactly the same model as the comic book or even the Secret Wars vehicle, certainly garnered my interest in the toy incarnation. Apparently, according to various conflicting reports, the original Yamaha motorbike from the film is being put up for sale by stunt driver Gary Davis, either on Craigslist or at Mid-America's 24th annual Las Vegas motorcycle auction in January of this year. The Cap cycle in the film also had a silent running mode for stealth missions and incorporated the Captain's shield into the design as a windshield. In the film, Cap's shield has clear, translucent stripes that evoke Adam West's bulletproof bat shield more than anything else.
Now look. The material and our aerodynamic design of the shield is really interesting. It's bulletproof and a rather deadly weapon.
Spinning aimlessly and magically returning to the sender makes this a deadly weapon?
I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
That's not how Cap's shield works. This is how Cap's shield works. The van and motorbike combo first appears 7 years later inside the pages of Captain America issue 318 by the year 1986. In the comic books, the van was a custom-built Chevrolet, and much like the television version, contained a mount for the Cap cycle, as well as a sleeping cot in the rear. A computer system that worked alongside Cap's modem briefcase was built into the engine housing so he could keep up with requests made from his hotline service. Whereas in the television movie, the modifications to the van were performed by Dr. Simon Mills and the US government. In the comics, the van was outfitted by the Wakanda Design Group, who is best known for servicing the mighty Avengers Quinjets and automobiles, once their king, the Black Panther, was made a member of the superhero team.
This thing scramble eggs on Sunday too?
And it whistles Dixie.
Ultimately, even though I have fond recollections of the motorbike van combo, Cap's $6 Million Man jumps, and the theme song, the film is without question the worst of the Marvel television properties from the day. I know what you all are thinking because I've thought it myself at one time or another.
But Derek, the red-brown Captain America was all we had.
Fortunately, we've had much more appropriate presentations of Captain America with the Marvel Studio films, and even when we didn't have them, it wouldn't be too harsh to say that this particular film languishes in its own boredom. In the cardinal sin to children viewers of pre-millennium live-action superhero translations, it takes over an hour and 15 minutes before you even get a glimpse of Captain America. They work for a security lab that can't really be that secure or secret with its name plastered for all the potential bad guys to see. The Pearson Brothers meatpacking plant, quote-unquote action sequence, if you can even call it that, is reminiscent of Keystone Cop Capers. It's a literal joke. There is major costume and even conceptual shame in a television movie where they couldn't even get the costume right until the final few minutes. The climax of the film is tantamount to a quote-unquote thrilling, edge-of-your-seat session of cardiopulmonary resuscitation, where Dr. Mills, not even Captain America, saves the bracket guy who's been trying to blow us all up with a neutron bomb.
Captain America did a pretty good job.
No, he didn't.
Captain America.
Captain America? What's going on, Simon?